right, Fashion Dolls, it is Thankful Thursday, February 24th, and welcome to an all-new episode of by Stevie. Joining me today, we have an award-winning actor and producer. His name is Malachi Rivers, ladies and gentlemen, and he will be joining me today. I'm super excited about this interview. As you guys can see, we decided to go for something that is very sultry and sexy, like I just stepped off of the beach with this beautiful golden glow. Shout outs to our glam team here, Melody Nalla, my Bridgers. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me add my very special guest, Malachi Rivers. He is here, ladies and gentlemen, so let me add him. Hello, hello, hello.
Hey.
Welcome to the Dollhouse. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
It is such a pleasure to have you here, ladies and gentlemen, Malachi Rivers. So before we get into this interview, how has 2022 been for you thus far?
It's actually been it's been testy, but it's been good. I mean, I think I've made a lot of I'm making a lot of strides as far as just career-wise and things that are happening. But a little, testy as far as family stuff going on. But yeah, but otherwise, I gotta keep on keeping on. You know what I mean? Can't let it stop. Can't let the show stop. So we out here trying to make it happen.
That's right, 100%. All right, Fashion Dolls. I see you guys are just coming in. Hi, Stephen. Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Dollhouse if you're just joining in. Let's get right into this interview. So you were born in Prince George's County, Maryland. Am I correct?
You are absolutely correct. PG County.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about that. How many brothers and how many sisters?
So I have two sisters and I have a half brother. Yeah, growing up in PG, I mean, it's it's interesting how people perceive Prince George's County a lot of times, because it's on one side it's a very affluent Black area. I didn't necessarily grow up on that side. But but it was good. I mean, I got to see the best of both worlds. I got to see Black people doing very well for themselves. And so that kind of put in my mind from a young child that, there was more than what my environment showed me. I've been in the arts since I was little, since elementary school. I went to a performing arts high school there. I ended up going to the University of Maryland. So I was like straight up hardcore, like Prince George's County. And then after I finished school, I had moved to New York and was in Harlem. And I was in Harlem all my adult life until I moved to LA 4 years ago.
Okay. Someone says, hey, Kenya, you're also a rapper. Yes.
Yes.
We will get into that. So this kind of made you gear up and get your juices flowing. So who or what inspired you to get into acting and doing music? Because you're not only that, but you're also a producer as well, too.
Yeah. So many people. But I was the black sheep of my family. Like nobody did art. I mean, I found out later that my grandmother had dabbled in the piano, but I was just that black sheep, that weird kid who would just, go to his room and make up plays and talk to myself. So it was just, I was just one of those kids. But I think one of the most pivotal moments for me as an artist was watching A Different World. And there was an episode where Charnel Brown, who played Kimberly Reese, she reimagined or reenacted Nikki Giovanni's poem Ego Tripping. And when I saw that, I was just like, oh my God, this is like, it just hit me. And I remember watching it over and over again. I had like a VHS that's, telling my age or whatever, but it was like recording it and then rewinding it and stuff like that and just watching her perform. And I realized the power of words and performance and how it could make people feel. And so that was a big pivotal moment for me as an artist. And I would always laugh to myself and I would, say Charnel Brown, who played Kimberly Reese on A Different World, was my first acting coach because I studied her and what she was doing that performance or whatever. And I was just like, wow, I want to have that presence on stage. I want to be able to do this type of stuff or whatever. So, and still to this day, I'm like, I don't think she gets her props as being a phenomenal actor. So, yeah, so that was one of the biggest inspirations for me as far as me seeing and wanting to be on stage to perform. And there's so many people like James Earl Jones, who I absolutely love, his voice, his presence, and who I would just hope to have that essence when I get his age. And Whoopi Goldberg was a big influence for me. Sister Act 2 changed my life. Like, I literally was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be on stage performing and singing and acting. And so, yeah, it's been seeing things like that that really kind of really pushed me to be an artist.
Okay. And another thing people don't know about you is you're also a graduate at a prestigious Suitland High for Visual and Performing Arts. Tell us a little bit about that experience for you, training and everything. What was it like for you?
Yeah, so that was the Performing Arts High School in Maryland. So you had part of the area of the DMV that I was in. It was Suitland High School for the Visual Performing Arts, and then there was Duke Ellington, which was in DC. And so, you know, if he was in DC or if he was in Maryland, you would go to one of those schools if he was in the arts. You had to audition. You had to, you know, focus on either theater, music, dance, or visual arts. And so, you know, it's one of those things where sometimes they would allow you to dabble in it. I went in actually as a music major. And I was able to dabble in some theater and stuff like that, which also, but then from the music side, we started doing musical theater performances and things like that. So that's what really kind of married my love for both, which is like music and acting. But my high school was literally like, it was interesting. The actual high school itself, so there was like one school, which was the Visual and Performing Arts. And then there was another school, which was like the regular school. So we were like, again, the oddballs. Like, you know, we were just like, well, one end you have people dancing and singing in the hallways, and the other end you like, oh shit, duck. So like the school was like, it was a trip. So it's like I said, I think I am who I am because through all those experiences, even growing up, I think I've had the best of both worlds. You know what I mean? I was able to see things from a very polished perspective and performing and classical music and blah, blah, blah. And then I would see some hood shit over here. You know what I mean? So it's just like, you know, so I was able to, I think having both of those elements really made me who I am.
Okay. So with all of this talent, music and acting, who are some of your influences when it comes to music? Because you're not only an actor and producer, but you're also a musician as well too. So musically, who inspires you? Who are some of your favorite musicians?
If I break it down, like, so everybody who knows me knows my ultimate is Janet Jackson. I love any and everything about Janet. Like, so I've been the biggest fan forever.
My girl.
Yeah. And so she's ultimate for me. But outside of her, I mean, there's on the rap side, I mean, I've always been on the rap side, the person who loves soulful rap and like conscious rap. So people who were like in a soulful element to me. So the Commons, the Lauryn Hills, the Mos Defs, the Q-Tips, people like that. Those were like big influential people for me. And just on the general music side, yeah, like I said, there's Lauryn Hill, there's Sade, there's like Fantasia, like there's, you know, I love good music and I love great performance. I love people who are just able to give their all when they're on stage, regardless of the genre.
Okay. So now let's get right into the acting side, because everyone knows you from the hit show Paz Rise. Mm-hmm. We're going to go down a list here. Lips and Rondo Mitchell, MD, So for Paz Rise, because this show is so popular and it's hot, everybody's watching it right now. For those of you who are watching, tell everyone a little bit about your character on this show.
On Paz Rise, so I play Jabbar, and the show is about a black woman named Rosalind Mayweather, who finds out she's HIV positive, and her living with her life after the diagnosis. And it's a dramedy. There's hilarious comedic moments in it, and of course the drama that's added to it. But it's really about her navigating her life with the diagnosis, and then you really find out she's just a mess, like outside of her HIV status. You know what I mean? It's like that's the least of her worries. She's healthy. She's like whatever. She's just navigating her life and trying to figure out her life. And so Carlton Jordan, who's my best friend, and he created the show, and he really wanted to show people living normal lives with HIV, and especially the story of having a black woman, and this story's really never been shown or told. So I play Jabbar, who's her ex-husband, who basically comes out and tell her I'm gay, and I'm engaged to a man now, and what she assumes is because I'm gay that I'm the one who gave her HIV. She finds out that I did not. Wow. And I actually, end up taking her in, and she's living with me and my fiance. And it's a great show. It's hilarious, and you will definitely see a journey. The last we were actually on Slate TV. Just wrapped it about a month ago, the last episode. And we won the Michaud Film Festival, won a couple indie series awards. Yeah, it was great. I mean, it's been a blessing, the show, and it's still has its wings, and it's still flying, it's still going, and a lot of people are still finding out about it. So I am a firm believer that you guys will be watching this show very soon. So yeah, on a major network. So.
And and I'm glad that you spoke about that. The show talks about HIV, black woman being HIV positive. There's so much going on with stigma. And I'm glad that the producer and the creator of the show, shout outs to him, was able to create a platform where it's not too touching on a subject that's heavy, which is HIV stigma, and things like that, and making it in a way where it's, light and not too serious. Like, you can survive, you can live. There's life after this, From tragedy comes triumph, and that's how it should be, but kind of have fun in the midst of it. So it kind of puts me in the mind of, without the discovering that, you have HIV. Is a show that used to come on TV Land, and I wish they would bring it back. Fran Drescher from The Nanny and Tashina Arnold. It's called Happily Divorced. The woman's been married to her husband, and she finds out that her husband, after all these years, is gay. And she just kind of, Fran does these things with her face. So after she found out, they were in bed one night, they were talking, and I think she was reading a book, and then she found out that her husband was gay. So things like this happen, but it's so good to see the humorous side of it, on touching on something that heavy, that serious. So yeah, find the humor and light things when it comes to heavy subjects like that. So shout out to the producer. And speaking of awards, oh my goodness, let's get right into some of your accolades. You are the recipient of the 2017 Peach Theater Rising Star Award. And in 2018, you received an award for Best Musical Performance in a Play from the National Association of Women in the Arts, and for your leading role in the NAACP Theater award-winning play Ferguson the Musical. So you have so many accolades under your belt. For you, what does this feel like? All of these awards that you've been awarded throughout your career, how does it feel for you? Like, do you ever get the feeling when you're off set, just sitting back, and it's just you, do you ever get that feeling like, wow, I made it, this is so unreal, like all of these things is all coming to me?
No. And the reason why I say that, what I'm learning to do now is because I always have these conversations. I literally just had this conversation today and a couple days ago, that I am still in the journey and I'm learning to enjoy the journey, versus the outcome, because, being in this industry is it's fleeting. You're up one day, you're down one day. And, and at the end of the day, I'm still trying to have my moment, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, it just, and then everybody goes like, oh, when is the, once you get there, you're still going to be like, oh, I'm waiting for the next. This is the industry that where you're always going to be waiting for the next. So that's what I said. I'm really just trying to enjoy the journey. But I do have to step back sometimes and go, yeah, you know what? Like, this is, even though you're not necessarily where you want to be or where you're going to be, you've done a lot. You've done a lot, and you should be proud of yourself, and you should, step back and just enjoy that. Because I do have the habit of, and I think a lot of us as artists have the habit of, or people just in general have the habit of saying, well, you know what? I want to be on this major network show. I want the big movie. You know what I mean? I want to I want to
Right.
pulling in a couple $1 million, an episode or a movie or whatever. And I receive that and I want that, but at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? I cannot allow myself to be miserable not having it. So just enjoy what you have right now and keep on doing the work. Put your best foot forward, do the work, and let God do the rest. So.
Absolutely. And I love that you said that. I love that you said that. And I'm going to go through some of the comments. Shout outs to Nafatari Official.
Oh, that's my girl. Hey,
she says, yes, she says, enjoying the journey and not waiting for the outcome is so hard to do. I haven't mastered it yet. And I'm going to add on to what you just said. Being in the present, being in the moment. And I spoke a little bit about this on my show last week with my co-host and one of my guests. I said it's about humbling yourself in the results. We get all of these awards, we get all of these things. And I asked that question because even for me, I sometimes sit back and it's like, wow, I even have epiphanies. Like, this is unreal. I can't believe I've made it this far to where I'm at right now, to be able to sit with the likes of yourself and Vanessa Williams and so many others. The list goes on and on and on. And I'm just so thankful. We don't realize how thankful and blessed we are until we actually sit back and reflect in that moment or in that present. And for me, I'm always thankful to be in the present, in the moment, and live for right now, not for just back then. But yeah, I'm glad you said that. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, fashion dolls. We are going to get into our games, and then we're going to take some questions from the audience before we conclude this interview, ladies and gentlemen. Before we get into the games, though, my next question is for you, because I know it's been so crazy for a lot of content creators out here, actors, musicians, producers, directors, so many that do so much behind the scenes with us, given these amazing projects. For you, how have you been balancing with everything that's going on with, i.e. the pandemic? Because I know it's been difficult for a lot of people out here, especially like ourselves, content creators, with having to follow these guidelines and so many other things. I had to look back.
Like,
that's all right.
It's gotten better. I remember when the pandemic first hit, I was like, oh God, like, what is going on? And I think, a lot of people have, I think a lot of people were humbled during the process. You know what I mean? It is just kind of like,
indeed.
Yeah, this is like, especially as content creators or people who, survived off of, non-traditional jobs and things like that or whatever. It's like, a lot of people got hit, and it was just kind of like, okay, so you went from popping to like, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And for me, I was one of those people who I prided like myself in, like, the whole thing of like, oh, I'm good. I don't really let too much get to me. I don't, whatever. And then I found myself dealing with depression. And I was just like, so I realized it was just taking everybody out. You know what I mean? It was just kind of like, but it made me go like, you know what? You're human, and it's okay. And so once I started realizing that, I was like, get back to the roots of why you are even in this industry, because you just love it. You love the arts. You love performing. You love creating content. And that's what I did. I
Yes.
did it, very humbly. I I can literally think of like 4 shows that I basically like, developed and created or whatever, that I'm still working on throughout the last couple of years because, I was in the space of just trying to do something different. And so if we have not had that, I don't know if I would actually really did that, because I would have been so busy out and just like, here and there. And yeah, I mean, I think it just set me down and just made me go like, okay, you know what, you're human, and just figure out why you are in this industry in the first place. And it's because I just love performing. I love the arts. And so it allowed me to get back to the roots of that, outside of all of it. So.
And I'm glad that you said it's been humbling, because it's been difficult for a lot of us, with these shutdowns, especially if you're in the New York
Mm-hmm.
area. You guys know it took a toll on everyone. We never expected this to happen, and it just unexpected. But my mom told me this. She said it's bringing people closer, and we're realizing that there's ways that you can be creative while, being inside or being home. So many people have, and I hate that it took this to happen for people to showcase their creativity that they knew they had all along. It's inside of them.
Yep.
So it just pulled it out, and also is giving us ways to come up with more content other than just going out on the scenes, So it's definitely kind of struck what I like to say is lit a fire under people to make them showcase that talent, that creativity they already knew that they had that was inside of them. So yeah. All right, fashion dolls, it is time for our games with Malachi. And the first one is called the Rapid Five. And the Rapid Five, Malachi has to tell me 5 things that he can't live without. And the next one is going to get a little fiery and sultry. And a segment I like to call Turn the Tables. And this is where my guests get to ask me questions uncensored and unfiltered. So I don't know what Malachi is going to ask me, but my heart is beating very, very fast right now. So we're going to start off with the Rapid Five. What are 5 things that you can't live without?
My vitamin E moisturizer, my incense, my glasses or my contacts, because I would be bouncing around everywhere. Showers. And the arts.
Okay. All right. That's 5, ladies and gentlemen. You got it. Those are some of the things that Malachi can't live without. And you guys know what time it is. I'm a little nervous. My heart is beating fast. It is time to turn those tables, ladies and gentlemen. And in this segment, my guests get to ask me questions. And for my new viewers that are just coming in the dollhouse, you get to know a little bit more about me, the hostess. And if my other co-host was here, we do it with them as well, too. So this is just me. So I guess I put myself out there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. And my guests get to ask as many questions as they want. So it is time to turn those tables. Go ahead, Malachi.
What inspired your look today?
I would have to say vintage 90s glamour. Cindy Crawford, as you guys can see, the big hair. She was known for her big hair and that hair flip. So I would have to say Cindy Crawford, definitely. But I wanted to go for something that was very sultry, very sexy, because the temperature has gotten hot. And for the past few weeks, we have been having to cover up. So I said, peel all of it off and just show a little skin today. That glow is what we're looking for, especially during the summer and the spring months. So yeah, I'm always changing it up, always versatile with my looks, but I always consult with a professional, another cosmetologist, about, okay, how should I wear my hair? How should makeup go? So shout outs to Melanie and Alamai for making sure that I'm right every day.
Who inspired you the most?
I would have to say my mom. My mom, she's a Libra, I'm a Scorpio, and One thing I've learned from her is her courageousness, her fearlessness. And she's still here, she's still living, and I'm thankful to still have her. Some people, have lost their family members due to this crazy pandemic, and it's been hard on all of us. But I would have to say I'm thankful, and that woman inspires me to keep going. I'm so thankful, 100%.
Uh, hmm. What was one of the hardest situations you had to overcome?
One of the hardest situations that I've had to endure or
Mm-hmm.
encounter. Oh, I would have to say, well, you guys already know. I lost my old Instagram page. I had 3,000 followers, and I had to start over. So here's what I want you guys to know about starting over. There's nothing wrong with it. I had worked so hard. I didn't, and a lot of people I know buy followers here on the gram. I didn't do that. I worked so hard, and I started that page from the ground up. And here is just like a new stepping stone for me. And I must say that I've learned to let it go. Certain things that I can't change, I've learned to let it go. So there's my life's lesson on that. And there's nothing wrong with starting over, starting anew. Sometimes you have to do different things for your career and for the betterment of your career. So I'm kind of glad that I let it go, that I released it. I don't have it anymore. And I know people are like, well, we don't see you on your old page. I'm like, yeah, that page is gone.
Mm-hmm.
It's long gone. I can't get it back. I've had to rebuild. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with starting over, especially when it comes to a new business venture, a business move. Whatever it is that works for you, do it.
Yeah. And I'd say the last one, where's the ultimate place that you want to see your career go?
I would love to see myself on national television, but at my own terms. And what I mean by my own terms, because I'm a Black woman and I already know how the industry is. You guys seen the interview with Monique. She elaborated on it even more. So I'm unapologetic and I make no bits about how I choose to speak out for the rights of us as people of color. So if I would do it, I would build my own platform up from the ground up and have my own network, my own platforms such as this on there, and other content creators will be able to produce their films and projects under the umbrella of my company as well too. That's where I see myself with that. And I won't have to worry about networks saying, oh, well, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. It would be unapologetically Black. So that's where I see myself in this platform going.
Nice.
100%, 100%. All right. Fashion Dolls, that is it for the Turn the Table segment. Do we have any questions for Malachi? Before we get into it, because I'm waiting on people to type, I see people are just coming in. If you're just coming in and you're new, welcome to the Dollhouse. We're here with award-winning producer, recording artist, actor. He does it all. He's Jack. Missy Elliott calls Janet Jackson Jack because she basically does it all.
Mm-hmm.
She produces, she writes, she sings, she does all of those things. She acts as well too. So that was Missy Elliott's nickname for Janet Jackson, for those of you who don't know. Because you mentioned Janet is one of your influencers. And she said that in an interview that Janet called Missy Jack. And because Missy does it all, she produces, she writes, she does it all. So this man literally right here is Jack. He does it all. He acts, produces, directs. So, yes. My next question for you is, what is next for your career in the future? Because I know everybody's kind of just like, we're almost at the end of this month and everybody's already planning new goals, new resolutions, new things. Do you plan or do you just sort of go with the flow of things?
I try to have a balance with both. I try to plan out just things that I want to do, as far as just like I can control individually, and do that. But outside of that, I've learned that you got to just kind of go with the flow. Like I said, do the work, but go with the flow at the same time, because this is like and I've learned that years ago, but I've also it keeps on being brought up. in more recent times, where it's just kind of like, even from an actor perspective, it's like, you're like, man, I know I nailed that audition. You know what I mean? It's just like whatever. And then it's just like, and you don't get the role, and you're like, oh, the hell, I know I killed it. You know what I mean? And it's just like, and then you might see the person on TV that actually got your role, and you're like, oh my god, I can act circles around this person. And you know what I mean? It's just like, but so you never really know as to why or whatever. So that put me in the space of just being like, you know what? Just going to ride it out. I'm going to control what I can control, and everything else, I'm going to let go. And so I say all that to say that there's balance for me. So I am, mapping out things that I want personally, and having some goals set and stuff like that. And even career-wise, I do it. And I'm working on a few projects that I know I want to happen. And just auditioning and really just trying to get my name out there, you know what I mean? And put it out there to the universe. So I definitely say there are some things coming up um, that I will be happy to come back on your show and talk to you about later. But yeah, so yeah, I'm working. I'm working.
Okay, yeah, I was just going to ask what's next. That was going to be my next question. You must have read my mind right off the top. What is next? 100%. So, all right, Fashion Dolls, any questions for myself or Malachi before we conclude this amazing conversation? It was such a great time with you here. Your energy is amazing. Your energy is everything. And thank you all to the new supporters, the new followers. Thank y'all for coming in and just checking out this interview in the dollhouse.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Do we have any questions for Malachi and myself, ladies and gentlemen, before we conclude? 312.2U says, love you, Mr. Rivers.
Oh, I love you too. I think that's Kenyatta. No, I think it is, but okay. I really can't tell.
Any more questions or comments, ladies and gentlemen? I see you all are coming in. Welcome, welcome, welcome if you're just joining. Do we have any questions for Malachi or myself before we conclude this amazing conversation?
Oh, it's her. Okay, yeah.
It's me, 312.
Yeah, I'll just mention this one right here. We went to college together, and when I tell you, and it's so funny, I always think to myself, I was like, I don't know why me and her have not kept in contact as much as we should have, because it's like, that was my girl in college. And it's like, when I tell you she was down for me, like support wise, and like she always like dig me up, and it was just like, oh yeah, just feeding into me and stuff like that. And we talk every once in a while on social media, but she always shows love and just like whatever. So anyway, Kenyatta, much love to you. I always think about you, and yeah, much love to you. Good.
And you are so welcome, 312. Thank you for that follow, my love. Thank you so much. Still here, never going anywhere. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about too, touch briefly, since we don't really have any more questions before we conclude, is having a strong, solid support system around you 100%. And when Malachi asked me that question, who or what inspires you? I said my mom. And I'm all about family. I'm a family person. As you guys know, I talk a lot about my mom. I talk a lot about my grandmom, my cousin, my best friend Felicia. If she's watching, I know you're in here somewhere, girl, or you'll catch the replay. I'm happy to have that solid support circle around me 100%. I feel like I'm protected and I feel safe. I feel at ease. I feel like I can be free and create, and more importantly, be in my element and have the people who love and care about me genuinely the most 100%, backing me 100%. And I'm thankful for that. I truly am. So to anybody who is looking to get into this business, make sure you have a solid support circle. And that was going to be my last question for you, and then we're going to conclude, Malachi. What advice would you give to someone who's looking to get into this industry, whether it's music or producing or acting? What piece of advice would you give to someone who's watching this interview? What advice would you give them?
Just know there's no blueprint to it. I think a lot of people think, oh, you're going to get put on this way, you're going to get put on that way. I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to study and blah, blah, blah. And I've done it all. And I've seen people who have gone to the top acting schools or music schools or whatever, and they're still trying to make it. I've seen people who never even stepped foot into an acting school or, you know, and just so happen just to have that moment where they blow up. And I'm not saying don't study your craft, because you should study your craft. But I think, you know, if people just realize there's no one way to this industry, and that, you know, how I get there is not necessarily how you're going to get there, and don't compare yourself to another person. And I think that will allow people to not be in a space of always competing or being depressed because somebody's gotten something that you didn't. You know what I mean? Everybody has their own journey. And what's for you is going to be for you. What's for me is going to be for me. And that's pretty much my advice. So, yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Precisely. Yeah. And let everyone know where they can follow you at and they can check out your projects.
Malachi Rivers on Instagram. You can go to malachirivers.com. Malachi Rivers on Facebook. It's pretty much Malachi Rivers, Malachi Rivers, everywhere. I have a TikTok. I'm trying to get into it. I look at the videos all the time. I'm just like, yeah, but I don't know. Who knows? I may get into it later. But yeah, it's Malachi Rivers on that too. So.
There's more than one way to absolutely 312. Absolutely. Explore other options. Go another direction. Sometimes, you know, you can't keep doing the same thing and expecting the same results. So sometimes you have to look at other options, other avenues. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, as I mentioned, you know, my old page got hacked, so I had to start all the way over. And I thought it was for me, I thought it was the end of the world, because I'm just like, oh my God, I have to start over, all of this work. But luckily, shout outs to my brother, K285. He's such an amazing support system. He says, sister, it's a way you can get your interviews back. So he helped me get my interviews. And I'm just like, this is a catalog of work that I've done throughout the years here, and interviews that I've done as well, to help people, you know, get on my platform as well. So I'm like, what do I do? What is going to be my next move? So he helped me retrieve them. So special thanks to him, and special thanks to the Fashion Dolls for tuning in. I see you, Triple Essential, Black-owned business. If you want luscious looking, glowing skin like mine's all over, definitely check out Triple Essentials. She has everything from body butters, soaps, because whatever you need, definitely go and check her out. Black-owned, and it's amazing. So definitely, please go and support it. Thank you, Malachi, for coming to the Dollhouse. It was such a pleasure having you here, and I would love to have you back on in the future.
Thank you. And speaking of the butter part, you know, I believe in supporting people and shouting people out. Kenya, who's actually mentioned that I was a rapper as well. She Buttered by Kenya. She has her own butter line, her own skincare line. And it's some great stuff or whatever. So you guys should check her out as well.
All right. Yes. And I love body butters. I love body shimmers, anything, because I'm always, well, for the past few days, I've been kind of buttoned up, but I said, okay, let's show a little bit of skin today. So we're going to be buttered up and luscious looking and all of that and stuff. So definitely please go and check out Kenya, check out Triple Essentials, and so many other Black-owned businesses. Shout outs to all of them. Thank you all for tuning into this exclusive interview with award-winning actor, writer, producer, Malachi Rivers, and I look forward to speaking with you again in the future. Let this not be the last time.
Definitely. Great energy.
All right. Fashion Dolls, joining me tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday, and I get 2 weekends off, Saturday and Sunday. Tomorrow we have actor DeAndre Noor. He's going to be joining me tomorrow, so make sure you guys tune in for that. We love you all, and thank you all so much for coming to the Dollhouse here on Style by Stevie. I'm your hostess and creator, Miss Stevie. Take care, Fashion Dolls.